All right, let's move on to this prospect report. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm kind of excited about this. And listen, it's not that I'm a Logan Jones fan. All right, I'm not a huge Logan Jones fan. I haven't watched much of his tape. Okay, I'm not one of these people that's like, oh man, Logan Jones is the guy. He's that dude. I get excited when other Packer fans get excited about something, and I know that doesn't seem to be the norm. There's a lot of people that, oh, just because Jim Leonard played at Wisconsin, that's the only reason they want him. Like, why are we trying to piss on everybody's Cheerios? It's obvious we got a lot of Wisconsin Badger fans that are Packer fans. Why are you constantly trying to beat them down because they like something? You know what I'm saying? Same thing kind of applies with Logan Jones, center out of Iowa. For whatever reason, I'd say it's probably proximity. We got a lot of Packer fans in Iowa. They love Logan Jones. So I skipped right over Connor Lew. We'll get to that later, on another show. But Logan Jones prospect report. All right. Let's see what there is to like about Logan Jones, center out of Iowa, okay? And if there's any information wrong here, guys, that I got wrong, let me know in the chat. Let me know, comment on Patreon. You can find this article, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. If you want to join our community over there, it's the best way to support what we do at PTA. Listen, you watching the show, you hitting like, you hitting sub, that's supporting the show enough. Please don't feel obligated to join our Patreon community. But the people that want to support the show a little extra and want to be a part of the community, you can find that at patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. So here we go. Logan Jones, center, Iowa Hawkeyes. All right, let's get into it. So obviously, graduate senior, 6'3", 302 is the listing we had him at. Biographical overview, a native of Council Bluffs, Iowa. Jones was a state champion in shot put and discus before arriving at Iowa and as a highly touted defensive lineman. In 2022, he made the selfless transition to center. That's wild to think about. That explains why I was seeing some pictures of him wearing number 95. That explains that, right? So former defensive lineman, former shot put champion, okay? Defensive lineman converts over to center, following the footsteps of former Hawkeyes great Tyler Linderbaum. Does that sound familiar, gang? He concluded his career with 49 starts as a primary leader for a unit that won the 2025 Joe Moore Award. I had no idea that Tyler Linderbaum came from Iowa. Is that true, guys? Let me know in the chat if that's incorrect. That's wild to think about. Pretty cool. Physical profile and athleticism, the freak factor. Jones is a perennial member of Bruce Feldman's Freaks list, highlighted by his 705-pound squat. And Chris does confirm, yeah, he played Iowa. That's awesome. Tyler Linderbaum did. 705-pound squat from Logan Jones. That's crazy. That's an Iowa record as well. And a 34-inch vertical jump. Why does that matter, guys? When you can squat 705 pounds and you got a vertical jump of 34 inches at 300 pounds, that is called explosion, my friends. I can't wait to see his RAS. His vertical, his broad should be through the roof. You know, if I were him, I would just throw those stats out there and go, hey, guys, pull a Kirk Signetti. Google me. I got explosiveness. All right. I ain't even got to do this. Might even hurt his stock if you try to do it. So don't get me wrong. I want to see him do the drills at the combine and at the pro day, but you got numbers like that backing you up. Why take a risk of hurting your stock, right? Mobility. He possesses elite lateral range and juice out of his stance. He's arguably the best reach block center in the class, capable of getting his hips around defenders to seal lanes instantly. So you're talking about a guy who has elite lateral range and, quote, juice out of his stance. I don't know about you guys, but get me excited here. Get me excited a little bit. Leverage. At 6'3", he naturally plays with a lower center of gravity. While he lacks elite arm length, sub 31 inches, that might hurt him in Goody's eyes. I hope it doesn't. His lower body power allows him to anchor against much larger interior defenders. Now, another thing, we talked about this last night when we were breaking down Jake Slaughter. You guys can go watch that prospect report, that scouting report we did on last night's show, or yesterday's show, rather. Jake Slaughter, I think he's 6'5". So we have some people a little concerned, like I think it was Solder in the chat that mentioned it, like at 6'5", it's kind of like Josh Myers. Are we worried about that being too tall at center? Here you got a guy in Logan Jones that's listed as 6'3". And again, we'll get the official measurements when everything, comes along there. But again, 6'3", lower center of gravity, shorter arms, though. That's probably going to hurt his draft stock a little bit. Let's talk about technical skills. Pass protection, statistically dominant in 2025. He finished as PFF's #1 graded pass blocking center in the nation at 90.1, allowing just 1 sack all season and 0 hits on the quarterback. Boys, let me tell you, Goody is going to love that stat right there. he loves his pass blocking offensive lineman. Man, this makes a lot of sense. I'm getting a little more excited about this. You guys know Jake Slaughter is our best center on the board. Before we get now, it's as the board sits here on January 27th. That's going to shuffle as we get DJ and everybody else's information on the board as well. But man, Logan Jones is looking pretty appealing here. Run blocking, a technician in zone blocking schemes. He excels at climbing to the second level to pick off linebackers. Duo. In 2025, he helped pave the way for a ground game that eclipsed 200 yards in 5 different contests. We need run blocking help, right, guys? Discipline in over 700 snaps during the 2025 season. Jones was credited with 0 penalties, reflecting elite mental processing and hand placement, i.e., high football IQ and a high-level technician with his hand placement. That's really exciting. I mean, what's not to like here? Great pass protector. We've already talked about he's got elite mobility. He can squat 705 pounds. He's a good run blocker. He's a disciplined player. He hardly ever gets called for penalties. We know we could use some of that, right? Now let's talk about areas of improvement. There's no prospects out there that are absolutely perfect, right? So areas for improvement. Scheme. His lack of massive girth, 302 pounds, and length makes him a risky fit for, quote, gap or, quote, power-heavy schemes that require him to move massive nose tackles vertically. So there's the weak spot. Can he move a nose tackle off of the ball at the NFL level? So make a mental note of that. That's something you probably want to go pull the highlights, pull the tape, watch it, and see if that's a true concern or not. Anchor versus power. While his squat numbers are elite, NFL-level power rushers may challenge his short arms. If a defender gets into his chest first, he can struggle to reset his hands. So another thing that we've kind of talked about, right? When you look at the negatives here, it's saying, hey, he may not have the power, even though he's got that strong squat, right? He may not have the power to move nose tackles off the ball, and he can struggle to reset his hands. The short arms are going to come into play a little bit, okay? So those are the negatives. Again, I think the positives far outweigh the negatives. Obviously, the freak factor is mobility, is leverage, is pass protection, run blocking, discipline, all that. Scheme specificity, if I'm saying it right, and anchor versus power are the things you really want to dig into with the tape. Now, let's talk about this 2026 NFL draft projection. I love looking at this from different angles here. His draft range, day 2. So it's going to be round 2 through 3. Where do we pick, guys? Jake Slaughter may be off the board. We read his prospect report. They were saying he may go in the first round, late first. I doubt it, but he may go late first. Now, with Connor Lew in the ACL and his stock dropping a little bit, that makes it a little more shallower of a pond, if you will, for center prospects. So maybe that forces Jake Slaughter into the first round. But nonetheless, you're looking at Logan Jones potentially being a second to third round pick. So right there in our range, right? For where we picking at, guys? 54 and 72, or is it 52 and 74, wherever it is? So keep an eye on him there. It says, while some teams may hesitate due to his size, his technical floor and athletic ceiling make him a plug-and-play starter for zone-heavy offenses, San Francisco, Miami, or Detroit. Well, you'd hate to see him in Detroit, wouldn't you? That would suck. Key accolades: he was a Rimington Trophy winner, the nation's top center. He was unanimous first-team All-American, 2-time first-team All-Big Ten in 24 and 25, and an Outland Trophy finalist. All right, now let's talk about where we've got him ranked on our PTA big board. We have him officially, as it sits right now, on January 27th. This will change. This will shuffle. We have him in the number 71 spot, or actually 70th, I think. Again, we got a few placeholders. It's showing 73 on the screen. Just know there's 2 or 3 placeholders. I think it would actually be 70 or 71 there. Nonetheless, how did we get to that point? In 2023, he was the 120th ranked PFF at his respective position. In 24, he was the 4th ranked center. 25, he was the 9th ranked center. So you got him ranking in the top 10 in terms of PFF grades his final 2 years in college. That is huge. The PFF big board, however, has him in the 168 spot. Isn't it wild to think that they've seen him as the 4th best and 9th best center, yet they've got him all the way down at 168 on their big board? The consensus big board has him in the 107 spot, okay? So that's where he's sitting at there. Now, when you dive down, and let's just sort our PTA big board by center rankings, he's the 3rd ranked center on the PTA big board, okay? The number 1 center, Jake Slaughter out of Florida with a 38.8 score when we took this information down. Connor Lew, center out of Auburn, granted coming off the knee injury, 55.5. Then we've got Logan Jones at a 72.0. Right behind him is Pat Coogan at an 84.8. Now, the thing I want you guys to notice here that are watching live on YouTube, I'll try to explain it to everybody on the podcast. This next to last column here is the consensus big board ranking. That's where the consensus big board sees these guys. What you're looking for with our PTA big board that really screams this could be a steal right here is notice when the consensus big board number is high and the PTA grade is low, that's going to tell you, wow, that's probably going to be a really, really, really good value pick at that particular spot. Now, let's rewind back to Anthony Belton last year, taken in the second round. It was the opposite. In Anthony Belton's case, there was a lower number on his consensus big board, and we had a higher number on our PTA grade. What does that mean? It means, okay, you're kind of reaching right here, going with the popular pick, if you will. Does that make sense? So, again, what you're looking for is a higher big board grade, consensus big board grade, and a lower PTA grade, low number wins is what I mean by that. So Connor Lew is right about where he needs to be. And again, it's January 27th. 54 on the consensus big board, 55.5 on the PTA board. So that would be a good pick for us right around that spot if we feel comfortable he is going to be healthy for his rookie year here in 2026. I would rather not take that risk with all the injury stuff that we've got going on already. But if Connor Lew can prove he's good to go, I would have no problem with that pick. It's a big if, though. So, again, if you were to sort by consensus big board, it would show Connor Lew's number 1, Jake Slaughter's 2, Logan Jones's 3, Pat Coogan's 4. But our PTA big board, it's actually Jake Slaughter 1, Connor Lew 2, Logan Jones 3. And again, you're getting great value for the Logan Jones pick. What I mean by that is the consensus big board has him at 107. We have him at 72.0. So you're talking about a 30-point difference there in terms of ranking. What this suggests, guys, is Logan Jones, in my eyes, is worthy of the 72nd pick. Okay. Now, again, when we go to draft, he may be significantly higher. He may be, on the actual rankings, which we don't have the rankings off to the left in terms of all prospects, but he may be worthy of something higher. Like we've got a 72.0 grade on him. If we bounce back, he's actually worthy of like the 70th pick. Now, if you take him at 65, is it a reach technically according to our PTA big board? But what do you consider a reach? Because we're going to break them down into tiers in increments of 5 and 10, I believe is how we do. So you may look up and see Logan Jones in the same tier with 5 or 6 other prospects that, have a 70 grade or a 71 grade. They're technically better than Logan Jones on our big board. However, you're still in that tier where you go, okay, we're not considering that a reach, if that makes sense. And of course, Pat Coogan's going to be a great value pick too, if indeed he does fall to around 140. I don't know if he will. Obviously out of Indiana, everybody about that program is buzzing right now, right, after winning the Natty. So if he truly is considered in the 140 range, we've got an 84.8 grade on him. And then, of course, behind him, it's not a center, but you got Keelan Rutledge, guard out of Georgia Tech. If you decide to go the guard route, Keelan Rutledge is great value there as well, 91.0, and he's 122 on the consensus big board. So just to kind of show you guys, when you hear me say I really like this prospect, oh, man, that's a great value pick for where we're picking right now in the mock draft. When you hear me say those things, it's not personal opinion. I'm not going, I really like this guy. And listen, one of my big pet peeves are when people just look at the PFF grades and they go, oh, this is a steal, that's a steal, this is a steal right here because his PFF grades are higher. PFF isn't everything, as we talk about on this show all the time. You can see it's baked in. We got multiple facets of PFF baked into our big board, but it's mainly for quick reference and to kind of balance things out. I want those guys, and what our board essentially says is it's a good balance of the PFF grade, the PFF ranking, the consensus board ranking, former NFL scout Daniel Jeremiah's ranking, Dane Brugler, NFL draft expert with the Beast draft guide that they have every year. He's incorporated there. We're going to have to shift from the 33rd team, and I think we're going to use Walter football this year. We're adding that element in. So you're going to get all this, and then Greg Cosell, we'll give bonuses for Greg Cosell. If he did a big board, we would put more stock in his big board than anything. He just does individual scouting. We treat Greg Cosell like he's our personal scout here. Okay. What did Greg Cosell think about him? He absolutely loved him. Give him a 7-point bonus. He thought he was a really good prospect. Give him a 5-point bonus. Okay. He had positive things to say, but he wasn't over the moon. Let's give him a 3-point bonus. It's a guy he didn't like. No penalty, but definitely no bonus. So at the end of the day, if you've got what we call a cluster buster coming up, where you've got a cluster of prospects and you need to make a decision between those prospects, right? what we like to do is, as that cluster forms of the remaining prospects on draft day, when we're doing our live draft party, our draft coverage here, we'll be showing you this stuff in real time. And as everything falls into place, we'll go, man, we got 3 players here that we really like, 2 at the same position. What did Greg Cosell think? Oh, there's one that Greg Cosell loved. That's our pick. When you hear me say, really like this prospect here, has nothing to do with my personal opinion, has everything to do with the board. I remove my bias out of the situation. Okay, that makes sense. So that's just kind of an idea of how to look at everything. Okay, now, again, if you guys want to go check this stuff out, you can find it over at patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Another thing, too, you'll notice draft prospects here. If you click on this, I've created a collection now. Okay, and I'm going to pull it up on another screen because it jumped to another screen. And I'm going to just kind of give you an idea. And again, if you're a member of our Patreon group, you have access to all of these reports that we've done. That Logan Jones report we just did, it's one of this many, guys. Look at all these prospect reports that are already ready to go. We'll just pick a random one. We talked about Kristen Miller, right? Obviously, the kid out of Georgia, the defensive tackle, right? Bang, click on it. You have access now to all the information. We're going to break these down in real time as we move through the draft process and the draft season. Everything is right there at your disposal. So, again, patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Everybody in the chat, how do you feel about Logan Jones? Let me know. What are we thinking here? Which would you prefer? I'm going to ask this question real quick. You got to answer fast. One, just the name, okay? It's the only way we can get this in. Would you rather have Jake Slaughter, okay? You can pick with your second-round pick, Jake Slaughter or Logan Jones. Maybe you don't agree with the PTA big board. You say, I like Logan Jones better. Let me know in the comments. Jake Slaughter or Logan Jones, who would be your pick at center? Also, if you guys are watching this video back later, let me know in the comments, how do you feel about Logan Jones's prospect report? Is there anything we got wrong? Is there something we're overlooking? Is there an injury we maybe missed? Something like that. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you know anytime we go live here in the future. What do you guys think?